This is Robert Kraft, and I'm your host on SNN Network. And joining me right now is Nick Blitterswyk. He is the CEO of UGE International. It's a publicly traded company. I got two symbols for you: UGE on the TSX Venture and UGEIF on the OTCQB. And UGE will be presenting at our upcoming virtual event, the SNN Network Canada virtual event, happening December 7th through 9, 2021. For more information to register and see UGE's presentation, please go to canada.snn.network. And with that, Nick, it's good to see you, man. How you doing?
Yeah, good to see you as well, Robert.
All right. Well, it's good to have you back on. And listen, we've done many interviews over the years, and that last one being in May 2020. But before we get into some of the highlights and updates since that last interview, what would you say is that one line that best describes UGE for the folks that may not have seen any of our previous content?
For sure. Yeah. So UGE is a solar developer focused on the mid-scale space. So we develop, build, own, operate projects that are in this 1 to 5 megawatt type of size range.
Very cool. All right. So now let's do it. Like I said, last time we had you on here was, believe it or not, we published that interview on Star Wars Day on May the 4th, 2020. How about that? For May the 4th be with you. Okay. Anyways, so let's get those highlights. You know, what would you say are some of the company's highlights of the last 12 months or so?
Yeah, a lot has happened. I'd say that 2020 and 2021 has certainly been the most successful time period of UGE's history. So we've been knocking down milestones. It seems like every month since I saw you last. The company's about 12 years old. And as we're talking here today, I just had my 12-year anniversary yesterday since I went full time on UGE. So we've grown and evolved with the industry. Of course, described ourselves as a solar developer. There's different takes on what that means. For us, we're one of the few companies in this space. We develop our projects, we bring them across the chasm into our operating status, and we own and operate those projects. All that said, May of 2020, when I saw you last, we had announced that pivot. We didn't have any operational projects yet on our balance sheet. So all those projects have been turned on since then. And as we've been turning those projects on, we've also been adding a significant number of projects too. So I don't, I know that at the beginning of 2020, our backlog of what we call like our self-finance projects was 17 megawatts. So I'm going to guess that probably was the number that was in our minds May of 2020. When we last announced an update, it was 145 megawatts. So getting close to 10x growth in, call it, a year and a half. And that really goes down to us ironing out the kinks in the business model over that time frame. Obviously, we really feel like we have the wind at our backs in this industry as well right now. So yeah, we've been busy.
So I want to hit on two of those points. For those that may not have been following the story closely, what were some of those kinks? How did you work it out? And then tell us about some of those tailwinds that have resulted in some of the growth that you've seen.
Yeah, I think from the outside looking in, people probably don't always understand like how much proprietary know-how there is in making these projects successful. We as a company, in essence, started out as a developer, designing projects. In early 2016, we acquired a company that was engineering and building these projects. And so the idea at that time was that was sort of two of the three legs of the stool. We develop our projects and then we bring them across to an operational status, but we were selling our projects at that point in time. And so what we found though is that there was a great deal of inefficiency in that by having to shop around for a buyer of these projects every time, and there's a lot of inefficiencies in that, and so that was really slowing us down. It was making the experience for our clients a lot more difficult in that we'd have a deal with them, and then a third party would come and own that system and maybe want to renegotiate some terms, etc. So I think that's the biggest thing is we built out that third leg of the stool to self-finance our projects, own and operate those projects, and that's made our life cycle of what we do a lot more efficient, giving our clients a much better experience. In the background, there's been a real big sector change too that's also alleviated a sector kink. And what that is 12 years ago when I started the company, it was all cash deals. It was companies that wanted to buy renewable energy. 6-7 years ago, the PPA came in. So we do a rooftop project, sell the energy to the building, and they would buy that energy through a long-term contract. But the thing you have to remember is that with the proliferation of the REIT model and so on, 90-something% of all these commercial buildings are not owned by their tenant. And so it was still kind of like finding a needle in a haystack. And what's changed is what's called community solar. So it allows us to put a solar project in one place and then sell that energy to energy users really anywhere throughout the same utility zone. And so that's gone from, less than 10% of buildings being a good target for us to all buildings being a good target for us. And so that's led to our industry really starting to scale up quickly here as well.
Now, Nick, before I let you go here today, from what you can tell us, what would you say are some of the company's value catalysts now going into 2022?
Well, at a high level, earlier I talked about us now having 145 megawatts of what we call our backlog. That's on the back of about a gigawatt of overall pipeline here. To most people, that doesn't mean much. So in terms of like the value there, in our investor presentation, we give a broader range of 50 cents to $1 per watt of the net value that UGE on a present value basis captures from these projects. So as we're out there securing additional projects and moving them into our backlog, and then of course, moving them into operational status, we are adding value to our shareholders as we do that. And so, I think that, I'll touch on point number 2 here in a moment, but I think because we're scaling up so fast and because our ownership model is a bit new to the industry, we really feel like we're not getting the value for what we're doing based on that. 145 megawatts times 50 cents to $1, you end up with something like 2 to 4x our current market cap before factoring in the fact that we're adding new projects every month. So I think the second value driver is we've added a lot of projects. We're, as we talk right now, we turned on a couple this year. We're building 3 right now. There's 4 more that we're going to start building in the next couple of months. We'll see the operational status of our projects really start to ramp up in 2022 as well. We feel like our projects, our pipeline, there's an active secondary market. Like we know that there's value in that backlog right now. But I think that from an outsider to the industry looking at that, that should be a value catalyst to say, okay, now UGE is actually generating this long-term, 25 to 40-year recurring revenue from more and more of these projects. And we're looking forward to validating that part here too.
Very good. All right, Nick. Well, with that, where can our audience go and find more information on UGE?
Yes, I know the ticker's up behind me, or the website, sorry, UGI.com. And Sophic Capital, we also work with on the IR side. And so they also publish some updates in terms of stories around the company as well.
Very good. All right, Nick, thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. Good luck. Stay safe. And I look forward to our next update.
Yeah, thanks, Robert.
Thank you.